Australia's construction industry has been contracting for 11 months. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I have my stein of coffee and I thought we would look at the performance of construction index from the AI Group. Now, the AI Group is a employer representative organization. You can see here, the Australian Industry Group is a peak employer organization representing traditional, innovative and emerging industry sectors. We are a truly national organization which has been supporting businesses across Australia for more than 140 years. And they publish different performance indices, which I think are very good to just get a feel and an understanding of where, well, different sectors are. And you can have a look at manufacturing. It's been expanding for 1 month. Services index, it's been contracting for 1 month. Construction, it's been contracting for 11 months. Now, how these indexes work is 50 is considered neutral. Any number below, and they survey people and they ask them a question, is your work similar to how it was, or less or more than it was, or more should be above, less should be below. Is the work that you currently have on hand or predict to have the next quarter or next month the same, less or more than the previous month? That's a simplification of the question, but they just want to get that simple data. And it varies between industry, but that's what they measure. And then they work it out in an index where 50 is pretty much no change. Under 50 means there is more people that are saying there's less work. Over 50 means that more people are saying there's more work. Now, for 11 months' time, more people have been saying there's less work in the construction industry. So I thought we would go through their actual report here, and you can download it from their website. I will link to that. But let's have a read through this, because anyone in the game would not be surprised by this at all. I went and told Rachel just before, because I just found this. I said, Rachel, what would you say if I told you that the construction industry has been contracting for 11 months? And she said, just 11 months? So, construction drops more sharply in July amid weaker demand. The Australian Industry Group / Housing Industry Association Australian Performance of Construction Index, Australian PCI, registered 39.1 points, seasonally adjusted in July. This was a decrease of 3.9 points from June, indicating that the construction industry on aggregate declined more sharply in July and at the steepest rate in 6 years. The steepest rate in 6 years. But everything's going fine, guys. They're just cutting interest rates. Consumer confidence is shooting up. Yep. The further fall to the Australian PCI in July largely reflected a steep and accelerated decline in new orders and employment. The key activity sub-index remains in negative territory for a 10th consecutive month, although its rate of contraction was broadly unchanged from June. Across sectors of the Australian PCI, on a trend basis, engineering and construction was broadly stable in June, continuing the relatively subdued conditions that have typified the sector since late 2018. Both the house building and commercial construction sectors declined at marginally slower rates in July, while apartment building fell for a 16th month, albeit at a rate that was broadly unchanged from June. But for a 16th month, that's over a year, nearly a year and a half. So I would say that the apartment sector of the construction industry has definitely been in recession. Or maybe the rate of growth has declined, but still. Residential building respondents to the Australian PCI frequently reported on subdued market conditions due to soft new orders and dampening influences on demand from low inquiries and uncertainty surrounding the economic outlook. On a positive note, there were indications by some house building respondents that more stability had returned to the housing market following the federal election and recent easing of lending restrictions. I'm skeptical of that. I think that'll be a short little boost. So the Australian PCI down 3.9 points. Activity, seasonally adjusted, down 0.5. New orders, down 5.5. Employment, down 7.7. House building activity is up. Fantastic. 0.6. Apartment activity, down 0.2. But look, all of these below 50. Engineering activity, down 0.8. So jumped up a little bit and was now below. Commercial activity, up. But all of these are below 50. So, construction sectors. Apartment building was the weakest performing sector, 36.4 points. Trend, contracting for a 16th month. Also weighing on overall industry conditions was the 12th consecutive month of contracting housing building activity, 38.3 point trend, although there was no acceleration in the sector's rate of contraction. Across the major project areas, commercial construction, 46.9 point trend, again declined in July amid a further overall fall in demand for commercial building projects. Engineering construction was broadly stable in that month at 49.4. Construction prices and wages. Input price inflation in the Australian PCI remained elevated in July. The input prices index fell by 4.2% to 63.2 points, indicating that cost pressures moderated during the month but remained significant. Selling prices continued to contract in July, although at slower rates. The selling prices sub-index in the Australian PCI increased by 5 points to 36.6 in July, indicating that pressure on businesses in raising prices has continued on a broad industry basis due to a highly competitive tendering price environment. Now, literally I was talking to a mate the other day who was putting some tenders in and he was shocked at the prices that was coming in from competition. It is tough out there. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you've gotten some tenders back where you're half of the competition. That's happened to me in the past. That happened to me in the past. I couldn't believe it. Particularly when I was starting out. When I was starting out, I did the fee proposals like we were taught to. And that's where I noticed there was a sharp contrast between university and the real world. The ongoing gap between, not just university and the real world, the public sector and the real world. That was another, because I did a year and a half at the Architectural Practice Academy, which is under the Department of Public Works here. It was a special program for graduates. And just the fees that they could charge there compared to the real world were very different, particularly in the commercial sector. The ongoing gap between these price series in the Australian PCI demonstrates that profit margins remain tight for many businesses in the construction industry. Oh yes. Yes, they do. Construction activity. Across the construction industry, Australian PCI data for July revealed that construction industry activity, 44.4, continued to contract, although the rate of decline was broadly unchanged from June. This was associated with continued decline in new orders, 36 points, which fell at a rate that was the sharpest rate in 6 years, and a further reduction in deliveries from suppliers, 40. Employment also recorded a sharper rate of contraction, 35.9 points, indicating a general reluctance by businesses to increase their workforce capacity amid ongoing soft demand at an aggregate level. So how can we have people saying that the property sector is going to go up? Now's the time to buy in. Rush, rush, rush. It's about to skyrocket. When you have a huge component of our economy here completely contracting. How? Can someone tell me, please? Let me know in the comments, guys. Because it just feels like it's spin from the newspapers. It does. And the real estate agents. Maybe those mining houses that are going to 10x. 10x those mining houses. It's good coffee. Construction highlights. Across the residential construction sectors, the ongoing decline in new orders is continuing to weigh on overall conditions and points to the likelihood of further weakness in the months ahead. Commercial construction remains in decline, but its rate of contraction has eased slightly over the past 5 months. Engineering construction activity has maintained a stable pattern of activity in recent months, with a lift to stronger overall conditions, constrained by reports of project delays, a decline in new tender opportunities. Ooh, these ones here, you know. Nothing's worse than when you're looking for work, and you win a job. You win another job, you know, one that'll keep your business going for 6 months, but it's delayed. It's delayed. it's delayed. So construction concerns. The Australian PCI survey respondents continue to indicate significant cost pressures in the delivery of building projects due to elevated energy prices. Wonder why that is, guys. I wonder why that is. I'm just looking at the time. I'll put a link to a video where people in South Australia are having to resort to food banks to pay their power bills. And we'll just look at how many wind farms are in there. And that's in that video there. I'm going to write that down. I'll write that down here. 10 minutes. Okay, I'll rub that out. I don't like it. So yes, that'll be linked above if I remember. So, and relatively high prices for commodities and imported construction materials. Okay, so let's have a look at the Australian economy here. Okay, now here's something to remember. If we look here, I'll just wipe over. This is from the Observatory of Economic Complexity, and this shows you, these are our exports, and these are our imports. Okay, we are importing a lot of manufactured goods, a lot of construction goods. I couldn't even get a toilet manufactured here. We used to specify Caroma, not sponsored content, but on projects. And one of the things we were happy was that they were manufactured locally. Not anymore. So reports are also widespread about difficulties in filling skilled vacancies, as well as accessing funding for investment and business expansion purposes. So you can see here, everything's down, selling prices up, and here's the 12-month average. Look at that, change from last month. So there's the Australian PCI is down, home building is slightly up, down, commercial construction slightly up from last month. Capacity utilization is down again as percentage. So here are the different sectors, the home building activity, and we'll just read the little summary here. The volume of new home building work done fell by 0.5 quarter on quarter and 1.2 per annum to 8.9 billion in the March quarter, seasonally adjusted and inflation adjusted, accounting for 70.5% of all construction work done. So home building activity has declined. Home building new orders, the total number of private house approvals fell to 8,514 in June. You can see here, that's trending. I mean, look at that. Look at that, guys. Apartment activity. The volume of new multi-unit dwelling building work done fell by 4.3 and 5.3 per annum to 7.7 billion in the March quarter, accounting for 15.2% of all construction work. I mean, nothing here is confidence inspiring, is it? Apartment new orders, the total number of private other dwelling approvals, apartments, flats and townhouses, stood at 5,335 in June 2019. Again, trending down. Engineering construction activity. The volume of engineering construction work done fell by 3.9 quarter on quarter and 12.4% per annum to 20.9 billion in March, accounting for 41.3% of all construction work done. But how's that trending as well? That's excluding mining work. So engineering new orders. In the engineering construction sector, new orders remained in negative territory for a ninth month, with this sub-index decreasing by 2.1 points to 43.3 points. Whilst this points to a steeper rate of decline in July, activity should continue to be supported in the months ahead by elevated levels of outstanding work on roads, such as highways, city bypasses, etc., and rail projects, particularly in New South Wales and Victoria. Yes, but look at that. Look where it's trending. Commercial construction activity. The volume of non-residential building work done increased by 3.6 quarter on quarter in March quarter to be 3.1 per annum higher over the year, seasonally adjusted, accounting for 21.9% of all construction work done. I wonder if this has to do with the retail refurbishments going on around the place. And commercial new orders. The real value of non-residential building approvals increased by 1.1 quarter on quarter, but was down 7.7 per annum to 10.5 billion in the March quarter, seasonally adjusted. So that's not plunging as much as the others. So input prices. The Australian PCI index prices sub-index registered 63.2 points in July. This was a decrease of 4.2 points from June, indicating that cost pressures in the construction of building projects moderated during the months. Selling prices, the ABS, Building Construction Industry's Output Price Index, rose by 0.4 quarter-on-quarter and 1.4 per annum in the March quarter. Here we go, average wages. The ABS wage index for private sector construction rose by 0.5% quarter-on-quarter and 1.8% in the December quarter 2018. So it went up. This could be the fact that they're having trouble to find skilled workers. It's probably more competition for the better people now. Activity. The activity sub-index registered 44.4 points. This was down 0.5. Employment. The construction sector employed 1.1 million people in March. 9.1% of total employment. Where's that trending, guys? Look at that. Look where that's heading. New orders, I mean, we're heading down as well. Capital utilization, yeah, it's still very close to what it is. So, yeah, I mean, nothing surprising to someone who's been in the industry and someone who's hearing and speaking to people on a daily basis, just how it's all going. And I'm sure any of the tradies who are watching, builders or subcontractors or other consultants, could attest to this. It's a bit of a mixed bag who you talk to, if they're flat out, if they're not, if they're quiet. Most people I speak to are, on the lookout. I'm getting random emails. I've got a small firm with a tiny web presence, and when I get builders reaching out to me for work, that's usually when times are getting a bit tough. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Take care.